Hi, and thanks for joining us once again. Last show, we were speaking with Mike Skrypnek about his book, Philanthropy: An Inspired Process. He is an expert in guiding families in their personal journey to realize a bigger impact in their lifetimes and beyond. His lifetime goal is his own 1 for 1 million challenge to influence or affect 1 million people or dollars to change the world every year. Thanks very much again for joining us, Mike.
Welcome, Kirsten. Glad to be here.
Well, let's get into a little bit more detail about your book. First of all, his book examines the experiences of global icons and insights from interviews of community leaders. Mike has identified 6 stages that all philanthropists have gone through in their philanthropic journey. By incorporating these 6 stages, he is sure that a would-be philanthropist can move from involved giving to committed philanthropy. So let's take a look at stage 2 of your book, otherwise known as motivation. Mike,
yeah, thanks.
So this seems like it should be a part of the experience. Why is this so unique?
Well, I used the term motivation as kind of that catalyst. It's the reconciliation of one's experiences with the world around them that actually moves them to take another step. You know, if you contemplate the idea of business leaders in maybe a high-profile position, and let's say they're interested in a particular cause and they're moved to make an effort to try to change things. But can you imagine if you're a high-profile public figure and one of your personal experiences was maybe child abuse or sexual abuse, right? It's highly unlikely that you're very motivated to bring that to the forefront and connect yourself with that organization, albeit something that might be very important to you. So this is kind of the critical phase. We all have life experiences, but we don't all act. And I think that in order to get the ball rolling, you need to derive an internal motivation to act.
So I find it interesting you use Bob Geldof as an example, considering he is not really in the public spotlight these days. What was it about his story that you found so interesting?
Yeah, Sir Bob, as you might be known, his impact was, maybe even decades ago. But I found it really interesting, and this is a good example of motivation. So he's sitting in 1984, and he's had moderate success as a rock star, and he's been on Pink Floyd, The Wall, and he's a movie and an actor. But, he's not a stratospheric personality. But here he is watching an excerpt on the BBC about millions of potentially starving people in Ethiopia as one of the largest droughts in history continues its plight on the people there. And now from a lot of us, we've seen those images, and he's seen those images in the past as well. But he's sitting there with his daughter, Trixabel, Fifi Trixabel, of all names. But he's sitting there with her, and he ponders her luxurious lifestyle comparatively. And he's got to think that you can't allow that to happen to millions of children. So it was his motivation by connecting and reconciling an experience with his own life and the things that mattered to him that he, basically jumped on the phone with Midge Ure, began the whole Before They Know It, Do They Know It's Christmas album, and before you knew it, he was he held the biggest Live Aid concert, Band Aid concert ever for any charitable event ever, and it's legendary today. And so I think that kicked off some amazing things, but it was really that motivation, that really step between connection of someone else's plight with his own life that was the next step, that motivational step.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Next show we'll get into a little bit more detail about picking a cause. But thanks for giving us a little bit of insight on another one of these icons that you feature in the book.
My pleasure. Thanks, Kirsten.
We've been speaking with Mike Skrypnek. He's the author of Philanthropy: An Inspired Process. You can find his book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, or have a look at the website at theinspiredprocess.com. Thanks very much for joining.